Okay, so this is good afternoon again. So this is research video with, of course, taking care especially the issue of the bicycle thieves and their destiny, both in this world and the next one. So let's start with two samples that are just taken from my semen, and after that we'll create a fresh blood sample as similar to what we've done during the last 2 days. So, but now we'll do it not with a knife because, I mean, it's kind of barbaric, you know. But just, I'll use a syringe for this purpose. A new syringe with a needle, even though it's not, I mean, it's standard needle. I think it's better to use like smaller needle, but I mean, that's what I have right now and it should be enough. So let's start with, the two semen samples. Hopefully we will not have too much intervention from Disney Plus because they like to do online editing of our videos. But I mean, that's what we have and that's what we can do. Obviously you can hear that the neighbors are shouting. You know, the usual stuff, that's the way they are. By the way, for the symbolic purposes, so this actually, as we know, the container, it means a body, like some kind of a body. And this, I mean, reminds us of red blood cells. At least, I mean, the way that you see it with using a microscope without the eosine Y stains. This, I mean, arguably you can say that it represents a white blood cell. No, I would say that this represented a dead Nero, like Nero that is wasted. And this represents white blood cell, I guess. So, let's start. Let's start the show. So this is really nice, even though it's not that interesting. It's nice photo, nice. By the way, I mean, they always change like the they always change like the air condition. Like, I mean, they always, I mean, make it like for me, so it will stop work or will just, I mean, throw hot air on me, like for especially in like places where they want to hint me, because I mean, you know, the operators in the Israeli Shabak always have hints in clues. So they use the air condition for the clues. Some say that this was actually a kind of common practice during the 1940s or 50s, like in very ancient common intelligence community, like, I mean, way to torture people and presumably maybe to send them messages. I do not find comfort in that. I would say that midah keneged midah, you know, you mess with my air condition, I mess with your air condition, and I mess with it gravely, you know, and you know exactly what I speak about. I mean, you know, it's not by chance that the Titan females like oral and anal sex so much. It's, I mean, it's not just like a legitimate preference. It's because they have the conditioner, like, you know what they have this disgusting thing, and that's not a new issue. But I mean, now it will more people in the world will know exactly. I mean, what's the famous air condition of the Titan females. For females, I mean, because most of the females that ate the tea, like all around the intelligence communities of this world. Of course, men, you know, they have their own their own issues, and we'll actually work on this symbol more today because it's still, I mean, it's not complete. But yes, I was so tired yesterday that I had to stop. But we'll continue this symbol here, and of course, many people all over the world will start to feel what the Israelis have felt during the 1980s. and many of them are still hanging around with their junk, defunct equipment to this day. So, but now it will be a worldwide phenomenon. Really, I mean, we don't know where Israel is located on the map. It's too small and too stupid for us, and we don't have microscope strong enough to actually detect it. I mean, the humans, the inhabitants of the blue planet, are torturing our representative and his daughters, and the torture never stops. So, I mean, we take our, we come to terms with the humans. That's it. Not specifically with the Israelis, and presumably even less of the attention will be focused on Israel, because first, they already receive a lot of punishment and nothing happens, and second, we don't want them to lynch our representative. Just to say, I mean, the gradual punishment is currently the agenda, but if the neighbors will break into this room, you will have an holocaust all over the globe. You already had one yesterday, you will have another one today, at the same moment when it happens. So let's magnify the Neo. We want the Neos in the bodies of the Homo sapienses and the Titan hybrids and the Titan females in Israel. We want them to actually be larger. We don't want them to be smaller, because the larger they are, the more effective they are in actually producing the desired work, which is controlling. This is new, all those bugs, and controlling controlling the moisture level of the red blood cells and the white blood cells. Nice. Okay. You know what might be true? I mean, it's a long time, kind of like a theory that I had, but I abandoned it for some time, that I might actually do have sperm cells, but they are always radiated by the Israelis for many years, because I saw that maybe in our species, the Microbes, the sperm cells, are only the male sperm cells, they can also only create male babies, and the Neos act as female sperm cells. That's why I never, until now, I never actually have seen sperm cells in my semen. Even though I've had many checks, but I was always irradiated. But probably radiation only stopped now after many years, because of the radiation that people of theirs, they understood that they can also be radiated all over the globe. And maybe for this reason, I see sperm cells in my semen for the first time ever, which means that I can now, theoretically, have babies that are sons and not only daughters, as was it possible until now. Famously, I only have 2 daughters, not sons. This one is really nice, so let's magnify it. Of course, this will symbolize our wish that it will be magnified in the bodies of the various riders of the bicycle. You can hear the noises already. They really like to make noise, so the robot will be afraid. This one is really is living one, and you can see that it's not a zombie by, like, you know, by its feel, like how it feels. So yeah, we have pretty big neros and small neros, and I mean all sorts of stuff, and also life forms, of course. You know that we were infected with the disease, I mean, long ago. By the way, when you say that someone is wrong, what do you mean? That, I mean, that it contains neurons in the body which look like rings, or that they contain worms that can look like rings, or something else? What's or maybe you mean that it contains neurons, and also that they zombified him. So it's like, I mean, so his consciousness is joined with other people like zombies. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Like, I really ask myself, and I don't know. What does this mean that someone has got wrong? I'm sure that it's something like along those lines. Maybe the worms, maybe the neurons, and maybe specifically the fact that the neurons zombified him. Or maybe something else, but I mean, I assume that something similar to that. Nice, and pretty big neurons, I would say. Nice. Okay, another slide. Just to say, I know that I'm like radiated for many years now. It's part of the torture. It's nothing I can do. It was acted here or in my mother's apartment. It was acted in Shoam. It's not a new thing, you know. But there was nothing I could do. And maybe for some reason it kills all the sperm cells, but not the neurons. I mean, obviously it would have been stupid from their perspective if it kills all the neurons because they wanted the neurons. I mean, they took it from the garbage after I masturbated to the toilet paper. So maybe they just didn't like, I mean, you know, like Pharaoh, they didn't like, I mean, me to have any like boys, like, and not even the possibility that I'll have boys, because I mean, you know, it's a long, like, it's long established tradition. I mean, political agenda in Israel since more than 100 years ago that I mean, males should live very short life and very few in Israel, like titans, and mostly the great majority of the titans in Israel should, and also abroad, if they control it, must be females, and this is actually still the case, of course. Now the goon in like outside started his very famous attack, which is the smelly tax, which means that, I mean, he's doing it every day or every other day, that he painted the entire house with very stinking chemicals. Yeah, so he's doing it again. You see, it's, I mean, every day it's in a different kind of design in this house. Every day, other paintings. So it's like, I mean, a museum with, I mean, like, I mean, cycled, you know, exhibitions that, I mean, it's always changes. And of course, the main effect is not actual change, but the fact that it's made with very, very stinky materials. And supposedly the robots hate this kind of material, and when he will, I mean, smell this hell, I mean, he will have like a reset and will be subjected to their command. Anyway, it doesn't work, but I mean, you know, I don't like the smell, but hopefully the people that tried me like the smell, because they will feel it like, I mean, like 10 or 20 times stronger. I mean, they already do. Do you like it? Isn't it nice? Let me take another sniff of this wonderful smell. Unfortunately, I need to lock the doors today. I didn't do it like throughout all my time in the hostel, but they started to, I mean, be very violent, and as you've seen, like in one of the videos, they break into the room, I mean, and they use violence. So I try to remember to lock it. It's not nice to live like when you need to like lock the door to your place all the time, but this is life for me. He is a famous artist, by the way. When he's not working for the Shabak, he has an exhibition at the MoMA and the Tate Gallery. Great smell, great smell.
אל תצלם אותי, שמעת אל תצלם, אתה חצוף, אתה חצוף. אני מתקשר באמת למשטרה.
Also, not only the Tate Gallery, also in London, I think that he had one, I think in the national, I don't remember, there is another one in London, very famous, not a Tate Gallery, that is more like centered with specifically abstract and modern works. I'm not sure. Maybe like a London gallery to modern art. I'm not sure. So he also this guy had one exhibition in this institution as well. He's very good at what he does. Very, very good. Okay, let's continue with our scientific work. Well, this one you don't expect to find in your sperm sample. It looks like something disgusting. But it doesn't look alive. It looks like, a mishmash of dead bodies. I'm not sure that it's something alive. Because it doesn't have the morphology of living things, but also not the consistency of living things. You can hear the lovely neighbors in the hostel always shouting "Mishtara, Mishtara," because it is known that the robots cannot stand the word police or Mishtara. Even just hearing the word makes them timid and hide under the bed and completely subjected to the will of these homosexuals and pedophiles. So they always say Mishtara, Mishtara, and of course you always hear sirens and the presence of the word Mishtara, police, and of course the imagery of the sirens and the noise of the sirens is present in the life of the robots, because presumably they are strongly conditioned either by nature or by the torture of the Israelis to be to completely be afraid of anything that relates to the Mishnah. Of course, they can presumably never call the police and don't want to do anything with that. So effectively anyone presumably can do anything they want to them because they cannot. Because they will never call the police or try to initiate anything at all with any cup by their own volition. This is not science fiction. It didn't happen during the 19th century or during the 1920s or during the Ottoman Empire. It's right now. It's right now. That's why you always hear Mishtara, Mishtara, police, Mishtara, Mishtara. Wherever you are, the people around you that are always part of the Shabak will always say the word Mishtara, Mishtara, because presumably you're incredibly conditioned against it. So even the word will make you timid and subjected to the will. That's why you hear the word Mishtara now. Mishtara, Mishtara, Mishtara. This is reality right now in Israel. It's worse than any totalitarian state that ever existed. It's considerably worse than the cruelest thing that the Nazis have done, and also the cruelest thing that the Soviets have done. It's much worse than the Third Reich and much worse than the Soviet regime, even in the times of the purges, under Stalin, in the worst hour, in the darkest hour. This is this reality, and you, all over the world, accept this reality. You do not move a finger to stop this reality. You only move your filthy tongues and mouths, and that's why a civilization considerably smarter and stronger and advanced than you are radiating the earth, frying it, and very soon there will only be fish and chips in this blue peril of a planet. So here we can see a Neo close to a zombie, which is typical because they zombify the Neros. We know that it's zombie because you know that you see that it's completely you know, hollow. So I forgot like the scan. This was the scan, like the scan, no, or the other one, the scan direction. The other one. These are all zombies. I mean, which make me. I mean, you know, it's kind of like, I mean, you wish you wouldn't think that such thing in your semen and sperm at all. But if you had to, I mean, it's better to be that they are of the zombie types and not of the, you know, the normal types. Even though in my case there is also a third option that it's not like normal or zombie but synthetic ones that are alive. And I tend to assume, like, it's a strong assumption that I have for a long time now, even though I didn't prove it and I don't know even how to prove it, that for me the synthetic life forms are incredibly less dangerous and maybe not dangerous at all. Even though it's difficult to generalize, because I mean, can you say something that will do to any synthetic life form whatsoever? I mean, there are probably, I know, billions of synthetic life forms. I mean, the ones that I call synthetic, which basically means not carbon-based as you know it, like in Earth, which is very vague definition. I mean, it's not that they are robots, they are alive, but I mean, made of different materials than carbon, that's all. But I mean, according to this definition, I mean, there are billions of life forms on Earth, so I would assume that nothing can be generalized about all of it. But at least the one that I create here in this hostel, I mean, and you can see it in various microscopic samples, and not only in the microscopic samples, but also in other samples, I would guess that they are completely safe to me. And I need a way to actually prove it. I mean, it's not easy to prove it. But that's my assumption, that for me they are very, very safe. Probably also for the Titans, but this needs more research. But I'm inclined to say that they are also very safe for the Titans. But I would assume that that their effect on humans, like Homo sapiens, is greatly varied. And I mean, you know, maybe some, I mean, are just like, I mean, like microbes that do not like do no harm, but and don't do no good. Like, I mean, just, I mean, parasites that are there, and maybe they multiply, maybe they just get out of the system after some time, which is, I mean, there are also biological like life forms, microbes that act this way in the human body. And others maybe are more like, I would say, action field, like, I mean, more prone to operations. So maybe, you know, they multiply and like tremendously so, and maybe they like to eat like, you know, eat like human flesh. Because, I mean, the fact that something is synthetic doesn't mean that it doesn't, you should remember that the fact that something is synthetic doesn't mean that it doesn't like to eat biological things. I mean, one example is the one that actually speaks with you right now. I mean, lately, I mean, in the last 5 or 4 years, as part of my journey, I try to avoid like eating meat almost at all. Like I reduced my meat consumption like by 99.9%, I would say, and also I reduced poultry like consumption by 99% or even more. I mean, sometimes you cannot avoid, like when you are under arrest or something like that. But and I try to, I mean, but it's difficult. I mean, at some point I even like eliminated fish from my diet, but it was very difficult for me. I must admit that, I mean, it was too hard. It's very difficult for me to live without eating fish. So I still eat fish from time to time, especially when we get it from, you know, in the hostel from charity. But I also buy sardines with the little money that I get from Social Security, because I feel that I really need it. But I mean, I'm a synthetic life form, and I like to, I mean, it's not that I don't like, you hear his brain, because he wants like the smell to be stronger, so the robot will be subjected to his command. As I begin to say, I mean, I am a great example of a synthetic life form that I mean, while it's synthetic for certain, 100% synthetic, nothing biological about it, I still like it, like, you know, barbecue and, you know, steaks. And I mean, I don't eat it for many years now because, I mean, it's like a moral stand. But it's not that I don't like steaks. I mean, if you can produce, like, I mean, if it was possible to buy like a steak that looks, I mean, that it tastes just like, you know, an entrecote or T-bone, but it would have been completely like, you know, from vegan sources, of course I would have done it very happily. Since the last time that someone broke into the room, it's difficult when it was locked. The cylinder doesn't really work that well, so you need to like play with it just a second in order for the room to be locked. Just a second. So yeah, I mean, now there is more smell attack. Of course, you've just seen it and smell it. Maybe, I mean, if you are part of the bicycle mechanism, if you are eating the neos, so like, I mean, yes, so you can also smell it, probably in a much like magnified state, which is probably not fun, but this is my life. So yeah, I mean, I like to, but this is actually true not only for me and my daughters, but also for the neos. The neos are certainly not biological; they are synthetic, and they like to eat chopped germ shawarma. Like that was that was proven long ago. So I mean, it's not. You should remember that. I mean, it's not like the synthetics and the biological ones like live in like parallel universes. It's not like that. I mean, they share ecosystems, and they also like to eat. I mean, maybe the synthetics eat the biological. I don't know if the biological eat the synthetics, but I assume that certainly it's possible. Because again, the word synthetic shouldn't kind of confuse you that it's something that is, completely different than biological. It just means that it's made of somehow different materials. I mean, even carbon-based life forms, which is all the life forms that you know on Earth, they do not contains only carbon. I mean, most of the human body is not carbon, but H2O, hydrogen and oxygen and water. So they probably even share other like material. But okay, let's not get into why they are called carbon life forms and not like H2O life forms. Based life forms. If it's 70% H2O. At least in humans, but in many other animals. Let's not get into it. The basic issue is that, and this is actually not true, but the assumptions of humans since long ago in biology is that there must be an element that is the important element in kind of like a mixture that is presumably like the body, the chemical body of a living thing, and that this element must be characterized by the fact that it's very easily bonded with other elements. Or in other words, that there is a big multitude of varieties of molecules that can be created in nature, and that contains this element. And this is manifestly true to carbon. Carbon, it's got this definition that it bonds very well with other elements, and there are, countless types of molecules that carbon is very essential in it. And so for this reason, people, define sometimes life in Earth as carbon-based life. And many times they even think that life must be carbon-based, to the fact that this is what defines life, actually. Even though it's stupid, because, diamond is also made of carbon, and diamond is not living, according to most people. And also pencils. Pencils are also made of carbon, and they are not living. And that's why also, in science fiction, since long ago, people thought that maybe if life can be found on a planet that is not carbon-based, it must be silicon-based. Because it was known since long ago that silicon, it should be said that both carbon and silicon are extremely common in the universe. They are not rare, also in Earth. There is huge amount of carbon and huge amount of silicon. So it's not something that's difficult to find. But it was known since long ago that silicon also shares this property, and also silicon is very useful in the industry, in various industries, not only in the boob job industry, but that is, as you understand, is it's very dear to my heart because of the fact that first I like women with big boobs, but also because unknowingly women that I never knew not in the biblical sense, but in any sense, literally stole my semen from me and used it for kind of to facilitate a boob job procedure. That this is amazingly, and it's unbelievably cool to me. To treat me as an object. But I speak about it. I'll mention this in the next video. That they use it to just is an like a kind of a biohack, like a boob job. That you don't need silicone or I don't know, or any operation. You just and it's so cool. And I don't understand how they don't understand that it's so cool, or maybe they just don't care because they are Homo sapiens assholes. Doesn't matter if they are female or males. That's the way they are. Because as you understood already, this, the drug, the tea, and also the yellow tea drug, that I don't know if they even understand the difference, but that is my own like robots. They can be used to change the form of Homo sapienses, not only of Titans. So they just use it as an alternative to boob job, and this is so cool. Of course, I never received like 1 shekel from it, and I am I'm only tortured because they want me not to have like sexual relationship with no one, and so I will just masturbate like according to their psychological cues and put the toilet paper outside like my apartment, so the neighbors will take it and give it to whatever people they want. It's not the only usage, but it's one of the usages. It's just for so like Homo sapiens is creatures. This is also true for Titan females, but also for Homo sapiens, because the intelligence services of Israel, they have also Homo sapiens women, not only Titan female scumbags. Let's not forget that. Let's not be chauvinistic or almost all the males are pedophiles and homosexuals, and actually I'm not sure that it's all like that. It's everywhere like that. Like in Israel, it's kind of like all of them are like that, but I do know that in other places, especially in the West, it's very common, but I don't know if it's like 100% like in Israel. Anyway, let's not digress. So they use that as kind of like the free and natural way to do boob jobs while I'm tormented like a farm animal. This, just speaking about it makes me so angry. Like, naturally, when I speak about the Titan exploitation and the evil of the Israelis, specifically in things that related to my own life, yes, I'm more angry and more agitated than speaking about cruelties that happened like during the Ottoman times, even though they are also cool. They were also cool and maybe much more cool, and they should be remembered. So let's continue with the slide. So this is the 160 magnification of a nice Neo with the Stargate, property, and now we should try to find him in an even larger magnification. Yeah, so there are things that move like sperm cells. So maybe I didn't know it, but actually my semen contain both sperm cells and Neos, and also only the Neos. The Neos are are the sperm cells that are used to create females, and the things that look like Homo sapiens sperm cells are used to create like sons, males. And maybe because of the radiation that I was always subjected to, especially in the last, especially since I knew my wife, certainly in the last 10 years, that's why I have never seen like sperm cells, even though I watched for them even 3 years ago, before this research, the current research project started, but I haven't found any because of the radiation. And the purpose of the radiation is that I will have no males, male like sons, only daughters, and this goes in tandem. It fits very well the very old known agenda of the Israelis that males should not male Titans should not. Again, I'm not a Titan, but they thought of me as a Titan. So, and it fits their agenda that males, that only Homo sapiens males, that non-Homo sapiens creatures or Titans that are in Israel should, and also by proxy in other places in this world, should be just, only males, only females and not males. וכל הבן הילוד, היהורות תשליחוה. היהורות תשליחוה. Sometimes I see these things that I don't know what they are. It looks like rings a little bit. Is this what you see? What you refer to when you say ring wrong? Like, I don't even know if it's living or is it biological. I don't even know. I have seen it quite a bit, and sometimes it looks just like ring. Rounded, with a diamond on it. But I don't know what it is. There was a time that I explicitly told the Neos to create those. like because I wanted them to create diamond rings, and this was documented in this channel quite a bit. Like it was 2 months that I documented it, and I succeeded only in the microscopic scale, like to create many of these creatures, but not in the bigger scale. Like the biggest that I created was actually a ring that you can see with the naked eye, but it was very small and very delicate, and just dissolved on touch. And I understood later that it's probably possible. Mostly, of course, it's possible to create diamond rings or gold rings with the Neros. But I understood that my approach was too naive, and that I should have create a better approach. But after some time, I completely abandoned all efforts with regards to material objects, and instead decided to deal only with biological and pseudo-biological life forms because it's much more important. And I described this change in the two videos, pretty long videos that I called the Horadric Cube. I posted it about 2 months ago. So I really, if you're interested on these issues, I really recommend the 2 videos. If you don't have access, of course, ask Disney Plus. The Horadric Cube. It was posted just after the series that I called the Ornamental Monk, which deals of the nature of interspecies cells of Israeli intelligence, both the Mossad and of the Shabak, in the last in the recent decades, which means or in other words, how the Titan females that were known in Israel since pretty long ago, more than 100 years ago, how they were incorporated to have even important roles inside the financial organization that we call Shabak and Mossad, and sometimes people, ignorant people, mistakenly think that they are supposed in any way to advance the security of Israel or all sorts of other ridiculous notions that I admit that I thought along these lines in the past, but of course it's stupid. These are financial organizations that are both the Mossad and the Shabak that are partly nationalized by Israel. Many companies in Israel are partly nationalized, and it's not new. And so it's private, national organization that, and as all other organizations, their purpose is, of course, to make money. Certainly. After some time, initially when you was in the Senate, it sounds extremely peculiar, but when you get used to it, it completely makes sense. It's of course that's what they do. Why shouldn't they do it? They want money, so they do it. So, yes. So in these financial organizations, it's very common to just act for the material gains of the people that are part of the organization. This is so sad. Let's continue with the slide. Oh, so now so I was just saying that so I've I lost motivation completely to work on material things because I understood that I'm a slave that will always be kept as a slave, and every gold or diamond that I will produce will be stolen by the Israelis, and then I will be tortured even more to give them more of these. That's why I completely abandoned it. And this is I discussed this in quite length in 2 very more than hour long videos that are called the Horadric Cube. They were posted about 2 months ago in the vicinity of another very important saga, which I call the Ornamental Monks, that contains 5 parts and deals with the nature of operations in the Israeli intelligence that and the different the typical roles of both the zombies, the homosexual and pedophile males that have no brain, and the metalheads. Which is a very, it's the nickname for the Titan females in the Shabak and the Mossad. I did not invent the nickname. I encountered it in many comments, to my videos, in the comment section, but I really liked it. Yes, they are metalheads. So maybe this ring thing is actually not a ring or not a symbolic ring, but something that is biological, and you have it in your bodies, and if you have it in your body, that's what you call got wrong. And what's the effect of it? Is it like a disease? Do you, because you understand that the fact that I see it in my sperm and blood and whatever doesn't mean that it affects me at all. It probably doesn't affect me at all. Not only because I am not you and I have different body, but also because most certainly these creatures, even if they look similar to creatures that you can find in your bodies or in your encyclopedias, they are almost certainly, they are not the original, like, it's not the, I mean, the neo that doesn't, like, they do not replicate, like, these things in my body. They kill it, and then, like, they study it, they kill it, and I mean, the typical thing is that they do is that they create, like, synthetic equivalent of these creatures, or sculptures of these creatures, or sometimes they create zombies, which means that they use the original body, but they suck out, like, all the, like, the filament from within. As you see, this is very common, and you see it a lot even in this video. Okay, so this is the end of the slide. We've seen many interesting stuff. It should just be said, I mean, that it's not new, but we are currently in the middle of yet another clone situation, and it's so like, nadosh, like, corny. We've been over, we spoke about it so many times, like, about the clone situation, and that it's ridiculous because, of course, if anyone spoke with the Israelis and presumably acts like towards my release with cooperation of the Israelis, the probability that sometimes along the process they will receive a clone of me and not me is 100%. And I discussed it, like, for more than 3 years now. So again, clone, again, you didn't, and again, presumably question, like, so who is this guy in the room? Is the original, or is it a clone? Because presumably, I never understood why. Whenever, like, there is the kind of operation when you give one person from the Israeli, like, possession to another Israeli, like, intelligence organization, so there should be, like, a clone in the original place of the ones that was transferred. And by the way, why? I don't know. If you transferred me to, I don't know where, to the Belgium, like, Intelligence Association, why does it mean that, in this room now, there should, like, leave a clone for, I don't know how long, until they murder him or whatever they do to him? Why? Why not just, so now normally we will be here. And what happens if someone asks questions? First, why should anyone ask questions? All the people that know me are all part of the intelligence community because I was born into this darkness and manipulated into the darkness. But second, so if people ask questions, so what? So what? Anyway, it's kind of like always incredibly important part of this kind of operations that, a clone will actually be created and be placed for sometimes in the same, like scenario where the original actually was rescued from or was transferred from. So there is obviously the question is whether I am now a clone of the person that lived here until a while ago, or maybe I'm the original and the people, the other intelligence services actually receive the clone, which of course is the correct answer. You need to be insane not to understand it. So there's so many ways to understand that I'm not a clone, but I will just, and I've said a million times, but I want to add one thing that I didn't mention in the past, and I was reminded of it just now. Because what you could have seen both now and yesterday in the behavior of the goon that threatened me to kill me and rape me, like last night, and it was recorded in this video, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I speak about the same one that actually broke into my room yesterday morning, and this was also documented. So what you can actually understand very well is these people have no fear of me. That they have no fear at all to yell at me, to threaten me with violence, to break into my room. Physically, they do not fear me at all. Even though, just by the look of us, you could assume that I'm stronger than both of them, especially the older one, which is kind of like, Reva Ofifli says, like a chicken, like a scrawny chicken leg. So, and the younger one is a little bit more muscular, but also, just by the look of us, you can assume that I can crush his bone to dust. Of course, in reality, I am supremely stronger than like the strength difference. The real strength difference is, of course, much different in that it's much bigger. Like I can probably create like macaroni, mac and cheese from both of them. Like it could take me 10 seconds. And they know it very well. But they are not afraid of me at all. Not only because they think that, if I do something, everything is like monitored, so I will sit in jail. Because, this, is not enough in order for someone not to be afraid of, like, presumably from the option of violence, especially if he himself initiate, as they do now and yesterday, if they themselves initiate the violence and like threat with violence and rape. I mean, this can only happen if the people, I mean, it's not only that they know that, I mean, the other person will be locked in prison if they will actually act violently towards them, but they are absolutely assured that this person will not act violently towards them. 100%. And you know why they are so sure about it? In presumably in a way that can actually risk their life? I mean, if they are wrong, but they are right. Because they know that I am the original. Because the clones are known to be extremely dangerous. If these people would have thought that I'm a clone, they wouldn't even, like, I mean, dare to open their mouths beside me. They would have known that it's not only that I'm extremely stronger than them and have no problem in chopping them to meat, they would have known that even if I would have done that, now no one will do anything to me. Because this presumably was part of a secret operation that the Israelis cannot even admit. Because at the same time, the original presumably was sent, like, to abroad, presumably to a client of this scam operation. So everything that they do here must be kept a secret. So presumably, I have both the physical power and the protection from the law to actually take these two creatures that you've seen now and yesterday and make it like I don't know, like, I mean, disassemble their bodies to molecules. And I can do it presumably without any material, like, I mean, problem. Like, I have no problem to do it presumably, like, I mean, from the material aspects, I mean, with this regard to the brain, and also a complete protection from the law. Like, nothing will be done to me if I actually do it. But yet again, these people have no fear at all. These people, one which goes by the name of Yaakov, the one with the artist, the artist, the young artist that likes, like, I mean, to smell this apartment with, you know, with chemicals, and the one that lives like in behind the silver door, which is like the scrawny old pedophile, like the chicken leg person. That, I mean, both of them, it's evident that they have no fear at all of me, even though presumably I have both the power and the tendency and the inclination and the protection from the law to annihilate them, to create ground meat of them. But yet they do not afraid to intentionally initiate fights with me, threat to kill me, and threat to rape me. How is it possible that they are so brave in the face of immediate danger, presumably to their life, and also while they know that the person that the danger is presumably is arrived from will have no implication and no legal issues after presumably he will make a chopped meat from their body? How is it even possible? Of course, because they know that I'm not a clone but the original, and they know that the original is known in Israel like since he was a child, like almost 40 years, and he was never a part of any violent action, never, like, throughout his life, and he is a like person with scholarly attitudes and, you know, philosophical and artistic inclination, and I mean nothing at all, I mean, connects him in any way to any people that, like, are using violence, and he hates it, and he never ever, like, take any part, and certainly not initiates anything that is even remotely related to violence. They know it because it is known in the Israeli intelligence that this is a fact, because they know me for 40 years. And it's always like that. I never use violence, not even like as a threat. And certainly I've never started, or even, I always try to, like, to just not be in places where, I mean, violent situation can occur. And they also know that I'm actually this guy and not a clone. This enough is 100% like foolproof, foolproof argument that of course the Israelis did not give me to anyone. Of course I am the original and not a clone, and of course I am still kept here in this prison as it was the case since forever, and presumably until forever, or maybe until Homo sapiens will vacate their habitat to the advantage of more advanced creatures. Okay, so let's just now use another microscopic sample. This time with blood. Okay, so this time with blood. Let's do it. So this is the same. So this is the, I don't know if you can see it, this is the slide here. Sorry, I don't have gloves and I don't have money, but maybe I'll buy gloves when I get the money. This is and this is the cover. There is something, there's like a shred of like toilet paper in it. Okay, now it's clean. And now let's take a bite. Take like a pint of, not a pint, I was meaning to say a pint of blood, like a pint of flesh, like in the Merchant of Venus. But no, not a pint. Let's take less than a pint, actually. So I'm not an expert on syringes. Like, what's the best place? I don't want to take too much. So let's just, dig somewhere and hope that we'll get some blood from it. It doesn't want to move. Should it be that difficult to actually pull the syringe? Like, yes, something. I see something inside, like the needle cover. So I think something is out, but. So yes, okay, so this is it. Can you see it? Yes. No, but nothing to do, but yes, so but blood is starting to form, so let's use this blood. There should be enough blood here for a nice sample. Actually, syringe is not the best apparatus for this kind of thing. Probably better to use just, let me try to take some more blood, just so we'll have enough material. Okay, so hopefully this is enough. Like I see red material on the. I see red material on the. See enough red material on the slide. So now let's cover it. Okay, looks fine. Just a second. it's too pale, like, yeah, so now it's beginning to look more red. So let's search for like a really, like, I mean, you see a small snake inside my blood, which, I mean, is not that great, but also there are many neurons in this vicinity, so maybe it's not that much of a problem. And it's kind of like, I mean, difficult to focus. Maybe the tray was, I mean, jumped. Just a second. No problem with that. Just, I mean, let's take a, let's use the 15 magnification. We see neurons, but in the vicinity of this creature, it looks dead. So let's get next to 64. We don't see very big neurons, but this is typical because, I mean, you don't see very big neurons in blood. You see mostly small and medium ones, which is fine. But you see them. I mean, we obviously see them, so it's great. I'm searching for like a steak, like a very dense. Yeah, so here's the steak, like very dense, like, you know, very dense accumulation of red blood cells. So there, I mean, then you can see the neurons very well, like. You see the Stargate light property. This is very nice. Let's zoom in even a little more. If we touch it, if we focus to the maximum, the lens will touch the glass and will create like typically will create flow. Yeah, you see? It's kind of a way to create flow inside on the microscopic slide. And we see neurons, like small neurons here in maximum magnification. And so let's go back to 64. Nice, and many neurons, very nice, very, very nice. And here you see like red belly neurons. We've seen several of these, especially in these kind of like, I mean, in the blood sample experiments. It might, I don't know, it might suggest that maybe it's just that, I mean, the red blood cells, I mean, just were trapped inside the neuro. It doesn't, I mean, necessarily mean that they like to eat it, but maybe they do. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have any proof that they don't. Maybe they like to eat the red blood cells. I mean, does it make sense to you? I mean, of course they should protect, I mean, my body, but maybe they also like to eat red blood cells. I don't know. If this is true, then actually we can actually presumably take like, you know, buy like, you know, in the butcher, like. It's not a place that, I mean, presumptuous vegan or vegan supporters, like, I mean, frequent, but maybe we can go to like a butcher and buy, like, you know, and it's not very common in Israel. I know that in Europe it's much more common because they use it for sausages, but presumably it's possible to buy like a liter or two of like a blood of like an animal, and we can try to actually create a mixture that will be based on blood, and of course, a little bit of oil and bivax, but mostly blood and neuro juice, and of course, I mean, a small amount of like and concentrated neuro juice. This will be extremely interesting, and to actually conduct electrolysis in mixtures that contain mostly animal blood, and to see how what goes. I mean, maybe you would be surprised to see that actually the neurons use the blood to create amazing stuff. Maybe even, you know, to create life forms in much better efficacy. Or maybe we can burn it and create like a crucible that will be more, I mean, themed, like with kind of like a horror movie theme. Even though all the crucibles are things from a horror movie, it should be said, but maybe you can like you know, up the horror movie game with like blood gushing crucibles, burning and like electrolysis and things like that. Okay, so we've seen enough, and so this will be all for now. I think I'll eat lunch or something, and then we continue with the sculpture works and also the robot saga. We should end it, I mean, because it's too long already.